Hello, my name is Denise Galoni. Several years ago, I started my own home-based business. I had so many wonderful women help me along the way. That was the inspiration for this show, Empowering Women. So I can bring these women on to introduce to the audience to help inspire and empower you to live your dreams. Today's guests are Lindsay Smith, the Food Mood Girl, and Katie Mazzacco, the founder and CEO of Full Spectrum Productivity. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. My guest today is Lindsay Smith, the Food Mood Girl. Lindsay Smith is a nationally recognized author, health coach, speaker, and the blogger behind Food Mood Girl. Best known for her books, Eat Your Feelings and Food Guilt No More, Lindsay has reached thousands of people looking to enhance their mood, decrease their anxiety, and learn to love themselves just a little more. Lindsay Smith, the Food Mood Girl, shows how you can transform your lifestyle by learning from your cravings and using mood-boosting ingredients every day. Hi, Lindsay.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I know you're busy with your book tour and everything else that's going on.
Yeah, but luckily summer's kind of my easy time, so.
Great, great. So how did you become the Food Mood Girl?
So for me, I joke that I've been the Food Mood Girl ever since I was about 12 years old, because when I was 12, I suffered from really bad anxiety. I was hospitalized. And, at the time, I just knew that there was something that I needed. So I started therapy, and that was going all right. But then I started working at a local wellness center with basically a health coach, naturopath.
Sure.
And he really just instilled a lot of these tools and things that I use in my day-to-day life that I teach about now as a young kid. So by the time I was 13, I was making my own meals. I recognized the impact that food had on my anxiety and how certain foods impacted it, but that it wasn't all just the food, that I also had to take care of myself in many other ways. And so by 9th grade, I started teaching stress management workshops at student council conferences, and then here we are today. So it's been going on a long time. I officially made it a brand, you could say, in 2012, but I've been doing this over half my life.
So this is really your lifestyle, your passion, everything.
Yeah.
And so you became the Food Mood Girl in 2012, you said?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
That's when it officially when I decided that this is what I wanted to do, this is how I wanted to help people, and I needed an interesting way to get the message across quickly. So Food Mood Girl was born.
And I mentioned that you have a new book out. So you're going on tour, and you've been on tour. And can you tell us a little bit about your book, Eat Your Feelings?
Yeah, so I'm really excited about this book. As you know, I've written several books, and I've done it all from self-publishing to small press publishing. And so this is my first traditionally published book, which is exciting, and it's the first book that I've done all full color. So that's just an aside of how excited I am about that. But this book is, it really is the last 10 years of me doing this work and put into this book. So I wanted to take a different take on what it meant to be an emotional eater, because so many of us look at it as a bad thing. And I would do speaking engagements or conferences or talks, and people would say to me, ugh, I'm always eating my feelings. I'm such an emotional eater. And I thought, well, why do we look at it as a bad thing? And why don't we look at it as a positive thing? We're feeling this way because our body needs something, and it's lacking something, or it just needs an adjustment. And so that kind of stemmed the idea for it. And then I went even further. And so in the book, I actually pair emotions with recipes. So if you're sad, tired, stressed, hangry, or bored, there is a recipe that actually uses mood-boosting ingredients to help with that emotion.
That's what's so surprising. It's not your average cookbook.
No.
It's not at all. When I first looked through, I thought, this is not a cookbook. It's really a book you can read from beginning to end. And the pictures are beautiful in there.
Thank you.
And the recipes are great. And whenever I was at one of your book signings, I tasted some of the recipes.
Yes.
And if you didn't tell me they were healthy, I wouldn't have known it. Because I think we think sometimes healthy is not good. Or healthy taste.
Yeah, or it has to
not
taste
great.
bad.
Right.
Yeah, and so I tried to, one of the things that I always say for my own cooking is that I'm lazy and that I also like flavor. And so I think if you combine those two things and you create a cookbook, you get easy recipes that are flavorful that, you know, it's not going to be the brownie that maybe you're used to having, but it's going to be very similar. And it's going to give you that same sensation, but with ingredients that actually will help you if you're in a funk.
Right. And you actually have in there how to cut vegetables, and it's just an amazing book. There's so many different things in there.
Yeah, one of the things that I realized is that people say, you know, you are what you eat.
Right.
But one of the things that I wanted to get across is you are what you chop, because the truth is the reason why people don't eat healthy is because most of the time they just don't want to chop vegetables. Think about it. If you have a busy day, the last thing you want to come home is chop an onion.
Right. You have to prepare for all that.
Yeah.
Right.
And so teaching people how to actually do it in an easy way so you're not just in the kitchen and just chopping things and, you know, being like, oh, I think this is right. And, you know, it's just in a way that's like, oh, if I can do it in this step, you know, it takes 3 steps and I have it done. Or I always tell people too, don't be ashamed to buy the pre-cut vegetables. That's also another little hot tip.
That's a great tip, because we watch these cooking shows. These people do this cut, and
I know.
And you're cutting like this in the kitchen. It takes so long sometimes. So.
Well, what I find too is that people go to the grocery store, right? You start off with the high expectations. I'm gonna meal prep for the week. I'm getting all my stuff together. I have what I need, and $200, $300 later, you have all of these like healthy vegetables. And then by day 2, you're like, I don't want to cut this. And so save yourself time, money, buy the pre-chopped if you know you're going, and like plan for that. So, okay, I'm going to, you know, make a lasagna and I need onions and tomatoes and whatnot. If it helps you, get the pre-chopped onions. That way you don't have 2 bags of them sitting there and then they go rotten.
And then you throw them away and they're expensive.
Yeah.
You talk about eat your feelings and your body craves different things depending on how you feel.
Yes.
Can you give us an example?
Yeah, so I think the most common example is when you're sad, right? What happens when you're sad? You usually or like a breakup, right?
Oh, yeah.
Breakup ice cream.
Ice cream.
Yeah,
yes.
It's like that's
right.
what people do. As soon as they're feeling sad, they're like, I need ice cream. I need
right out of the carton.
Right out of the carton. I need something sweet. And so what really is happening, so you're sad. So that's an emotional response. And that's fine. Like you can feel being sad because it's a sad thing. And you should be able to feel that emotion and go through it. But physically what's happening to your body actually wants serotonin. That's what's happening. Your body is responding by saying, I'm sad, I need to be happy, so I want serotonin to give me this happiness.
Okay.
So you will find serotonin in ice cream very quickly. It gives you that quick serotonin boost, but it's not a long-term sustainable, habit. Like it's not something that you can just eat ice cream all the time and feel like, you're going to feel better temporarily, but long term you may not. So I think that what I've done is I've created ice cream recipes. So one of them is a banana base. So I use banana, almond milk, or coconut milk. And then different mood boosting ingredients even within that. You can do almond butter or peanut butter. But what that gives you is that serotonin fix, but long term. So then your body you won't just get the quick high and then the lull. You'll actually get a sustainable kind of happiness. But like I always say, you can eat as much kale in the world as you want, but it's not going to fix a broken heart. That
right.
also takes time and
right.
things like that. So I'm not saying my ice cream is here to fix all issues, but
it's a healthier alternative.
It's a healthy alternative, and it's something that you can, that you can feel good about more long term.
Mm-hmm. That's great. So there really is a science behind it.
Yeah. So I tout my book as WebMD meets BuzzFeed because I like to break down the science information in a funny and relatable way, because I just think that once you know that about your body, it's way easier to implement the changes.
Right. And this isn't your first book.
No, this is, I don't even know. It's like 7 or something. Well, this is my 3rd book that I wrote on my own, and then I've co-authored a couple other books. So this
Okay.
is like technically book 7, but 3 in my kind of series of Food Mood Girl.
And your other books were self-published, and this one you went through a traditional publisher, didn't you?
Yeah.
Can you tell, how did that even happen? I know people are watching and thinking, how did she even get to work with a publisher?
Yeah, well, a lot of people think that you can't do both. You can't
Right.
self-publish and then go traditional, but you totally can. People do it all the time. I saw such a vision for this book, and I knew what I wanted it to be, and I knew that in order to create the highest vision, I needed help of a bigger entity. Like, you can see that the cover has the gold foiling on it.
It's beautiful.
It's full color and it's illustrated in it, and so I just knew that I wanted that. So I just started pitching it to different agents, and I was lucky in that I actually got offered 8 different agents offered me representation, and the one that I ended up choosing to work with, he just totally got the concept from the beginning. And honestly, it happened very fast. I pitched him in May, signed with him in June, got a book deal in August. So it was like boom, boom, boom. But I think one of the things that they really liked is the fact that I had self-published and built a brand.
Right.
You know, they were
Right.
really they were really impressed by that, and I think that's ultimately what kind of sold it.
Because you were a brand, the Food Mood Girl.
Yeah, they liked that the brand went directly with the cookbook, and it's the only cookbook on the market that breaks down recipes in that way by emotion. And so I think that was an interesting concept, and still it's not, there's no other cookbook that I've seen that breaks recipes down by emotion. So
What's
pretty
next
cool.
for the Food Mood Girl?
Oh, a vacation.
Yeah, do you cook when you're on vacation, or
You know what? I love trying different chefs.
Okay.
Like I'm that nerd that like looks up the chefs. Usually I definitely try female chefs anywhere I go, trying to see what's good in the area and do that. But if it's a longer term stay or something like that, I definitely like to cook. I just need that like creativity. But I have a fall tour coming up. I'm doing some events locally and also on the West Coast again. And honestly, I don't know what next. Everyone asks, like, do you have a next book idea or what? And I think I'm just really, this has been a combination of my work for the past 10 years, and I just think that I'm willing to ride this one a little longer.
And if people want to find out more about you, where can they go?
Yeah, they can go to foodmoodgirl.com, and I'm pretty active on Instagram and Twitter at Lindsay Smith HHC.
Okay, thank you so much for being here,
Hey,
Lindsay.
thank you for having me.
My next guest is Katie Mazzocco, the founder and CEO of Full Spectrum Productivity. Hi, Katie.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited you're here too. Can you tell the audience what it means to be a small business systems strategist?
Yes, definitely.
That's a lot. That's a lot of words.
I know it is a lot of words, and it's like, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
So a small business system strategist, my role is to help businesses get out of chaos and really make it so that they're more productive. So I look at the business as a whole. I look how the entrepreneur is wired, and I help them to find ways to be more efficient and to actually create routine processes that'll save them time in their business.
Okay. So what is your background?
My background is actually in weddings. So I was in the wedding world for 10 years almost.
I never knew that about you.
Yeah, I love weddings. So I managed a bridal retail store, wedding dresses and fashion for about 7 years, and then I designed and coordinated weddings for 3 years. So I helped to run, there was catering, there was weddings, there was events and a bed and breakfast, and we did it all. So it was really fun. And that's really what parlayed into me actually getting into doing systems and productivity. I was moving and I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, I can go work for another wedding company,
Right.
but do I want to do something different? And I realized that I loved systems, which sounds crazy, but I love systems. I love bringing that efficiency, that save time, that money that comes into the business when you're more efficient. And I was like, it's time to make a change and actually do that for companies like I've been doing for the ones I worked for.
Is that when you started your business?
Yeah. Yeah,
Full
about
s-
7.5 years
Full
ago.
spectrum productivity?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's been about 7.5 years?
Yes. Yes. So fun.
Were you scared starting your business?
Was I scared? No, I don't think so. For a long time, I've been studying mindset, and I knew that I had big things to do in the world, and I knew that I wanted to impact people's lives, and I was just so excited about that. I guess I didn't let it make me nervous.
Well, that's great. 'Cause I know a lot of people worry about that. What if?
Yeah.
What if? What if? What if? I think
Yeah.
mindset's it's a powerful thing.
Yes, definitely.
So, what type of services does your company offer your clients?
So we really focus on the foundation of what we do is through my revolutionary productivity process that I developed. And it's a 7-step process that I guarantee when my clients go through, they'll save 2 hours a day in their business. And there's a couple different ways we deliver that to our clients. One is a group program I have, the Revolutionary Productivity Academy. And I also do private coaching. And then from time to time, I'll do workshops or actually get hired by companies that are making multiple 6 figures to multiple 7 figures to help actually create operations manuals for the entire company.
Because that's impressive, saving 2 hours a day.
Yeah, it's fun, and it's actually really easy. It's amazing how, if you think of all the things you do in a day as a business owner, it's amazing how if you waste 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 15 minutes there, when you clean up all those little holes, it really makes it so that you're saving time.
Right. Because if you're an entrepreneur like like myself, one person, I can't afford to waste 15 minutes here, 20 minutes here, because it really does add up.
Yes, very quickly, very quickly.
For the audience watching, they may feel overwhelmed in their business.
Yes.
I think a lot of people feel overwhelmed in their business. Can you give us some tips how to not feel so overwhelmed? Maybe look at some things.
Yeah, for sure. So something that I like to say, so I work primarily with women business owners,
Okay.
and I know that this is for women, so that's perfect.
Right, it's perfect.
Yeah, and women, as women, we wear so many different hats, right? There's so many different pressures, especially if you're a mother. There's running the household and the kids and the business and all of that. And so one of my favorite and foundational things that I invite people to do is to actually look at everything in their life and figure out where they're overcommitted or where they've taken on someone else's expectations as their own. So if someone expects them to do a certain thing to be a good daughter or a good mother or a good anything,
Right.
any hat they wear in their life.
We do take that on as women.
Yes, definitely. And so it's about identifying that and challenging it, looking at, and it can be a scary process, but it's about looking at that and saying, okay, what can I do differently? Is this really serving me, and is this really what I want? Because the beautiful thing about being an entrepreneur is that you have the power to design your life and business. Sometimes it may feel like your business and life are running you.
Right, right.
But you actually have the power to mold it in a way that people in a 9-to-5 job don't have that opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah,
So what's one thing that people can look at? Like you said, if you're taking on more than you should,
right.
what's another thing they can look at, like system-wise? Like outsourcing something, or what can they do?
Yeah, so a lot of people don't realize, they think that when you want to document processes is when you're ready to hire someone, when you're ready to really expand your company.
Right.
When actually, the more that you document now, the easier it's going to be once you're stressed out and ready to hire someone. And also, the less time it's going to take you to do things, the more space you're going to have in your brain. I call it emptying the marble jar.
Okay.
It's all about the more information that you have to hold in your brain, the more clutter there is and the more stress and chaos you feel.
Okay.
And by actually writing out even just a simple maybe 10-step process, 20-step
Right,
process for whatever you may do weekly, monthly, quarterly, it creates that space in your brain, and it actually saves you time when you go to do it, because you might feel silly at first, but you'll quickly learn that it actually saves so much time by just being able to follow the list of what you need to do, and you don't even have to think about it, you just do it.
And I do that all the time for companies.
Yeah.
That's what they bring me in to do, but I never did it for my own business.
Yeah.
Just 'cause it's all right here.
I know, right? And,
It's all right
and
there.
we're amazing that we can hold so much in our brain, but the liberation and the efficiency that comes from actually getting it out of your head and onto paper or the screen is
Right.
really powerful.
That is, I'm gonna have to try that myself, and that's a really great tip for people to try. You do have a couple books out.
I do.
Can you talk about some of your books?
Sure, sure. So my most recent book that I released is Revolutionary Productivity, How to Maximize Your Time, Income, and Impact in Your Small Business. And it actually goes through my 7-step process.
Okay.
So it goes through the step-by-step of how you have the ability to begin saving 2 hours a day in your business. It was a #1 Amazon bestseller on 4 lists.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. It was so fun. I'm so glad to just have it out in the world and to be able to serve in that way.
So this is your whole process in that book.
It is, yeah. Yeah. And I'll say my whole process, there's actually a lot more obviously that goes on behind the scenes.
Right,
and I designed it so that it's like an hour to an hour and a half read.
Okay.
So I know entrepreneurs are busy, especially women.
Right.
We don't have time to sink our teeth into
have
like
a
a
few other things going on.
450-page book.
No.
So yes, so I designed it so that it's a quick and easy read.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And then my other book is Cultivating Joy. It is actually a compilation where I'm one of the chapter authors, and I actually share my healing journey. I actually had a genetic liver disorder as a child through young adulthood that ran my life and ruled my life in pain, and I healed myself in my early 20s from that. And so that's my story of that journey. And that was an Amazon #1 bestseller as well. Yeah.
So you're a 2-time Amazon bestseller.
I am.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So Katie, what's next for Katie Mazzocco?
Oh, what's next? I'm actually starting to really look at how I can empower women in a bigger way, even outside of their businesses. So something that a lot of people have been coming to me and asking is, you know, I have systems for my business now because I worked with you. I want to know how to run my home and my life the way that you run your home and your life.
Definitely.
And so I've been looking at that and really toying with the idea. I believe that personal responsibility is huge, and that women can be liberated by creating environments of personal responsibility with everyone around them, especially their families.
Because you're busy.
I am
Not
busy.
only do you run a company and own your own company, you have twins.
I have twins, 7-year-old twins, yes.
So you're a busy person.
Yes, very busy. We do a lot of traveling, and yeah, so there's a lot of things that go on, and I always say, like, once you have your business systematized, if you can take those skills and put them into your family, like, it changes everything.
Right. So whether you're an entrepreneur or not, this book can really help you in different ways.
Oh yes, definitely, definitely. I even have people who are in corporate who have read it who have like passed it out to their teams and everything. Yeah. So it's almost like a new lens, a new way of looking at the world where you really can live life on your own terms. I believe the purpose of productivity is to spread more love in the world and to have a life you love.
Right.
I'm not about like trying to like cram as much into the day as possible and like the very masculine model.
Stay up till 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, no, that's not what I'm a proponent of.
Well, it's a great book. I love reading it. It is a great book, and a couple
you.
of things I thought I'm gonna start doing this.
Thank you. Yay, that's awesome.
Any final thoughts for the audience?
I would say that no matter what you're going through, no matter what your situation is, that really having, you can have the life you want. Any challenge is really an opportunity, and you can be and have anything you want. It's just about actually reverse engineering that for yourself. And I believe in you. So if you have a dream, I know that you can achieve it. Just keep working on it.
That's perfect, Katie. Thank you so much for being here.
Yay, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for watching today's episode of Empowering Women. I'd like to thank my guests, Lindsay Smith, the Food Mood Girl, who talked about eating your feelings and how certain feelings crave certain foods, and also Katie Mazzocco of Full Spectrum Productivity. Katie explained about systems and how they're so important to help be efficient in our lives. I hope these women inspired and empowered you to live your dreams. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.